Welcome to a presentation of Chapter 5 From Good to Great. I will be your presenter, Kyle Lutz, and I would like to give a special thanks to Laura Nip, who was my contributor. Take a moment to listen to the story of the hedgehog and the fox, based upon an ancient Greek parable. The fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing. The fox is a cunning creature able to devise a myriad of complex strategies of sneak attacks upon the hedgehog. Day in and day out, the fox circles around the hedgehog's den, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce. Fast, sleek, beautiful, fleet of foot, and crafty, the fox looks like the sure winner. The hedgehog, on the other hand, is a dowdier creature, looking like a genetic mix-up between a porcupine and a small armadillo. He waddles along, going about his simple day, searching for lunch and taking care of his home. The fox waits in cunning silence at the juncture in the trail. The hedgehog, minding his own business, wanders right into the path of the fox. "Aha, I've got you now," thinks the fox. He leaps out, bounding across the ground, lightning fast. The hedgehog, sensing danger, looks up and thinks, "Here we go again. Will he never learn?" Rolling up into a perfect little ball, the hedgehog becomes a sphere of sharp spikes, pointing outward in all directions. The fox, bounding toward his prey, sees the hedgehog's defense and calls off the attack. Retreating back to the forest, the fox begins to calculate a new line of attack. Each day, some version of this battle between the hedgehog and the fox takes place, and despite the greater cunning of the fox, the hedgehog always wins. From this little parable, Berlin divides people into two basic groups, foxes and hedgehogs. Foxes pursue many ends at the same time and see the world in all its complexity. They are scattered or diffused, moving on many levels. Hedgehogs, on the other hand, simplify a complex world into a single organizing idea, a basic principle or concept that unifies and guides everything. It doesn't matter how complex the world, a hedgehog reduces all challenges and dilemmas to simple, indeed almost simplistic, hedgehog ideas. For a hedgehog, anything that does not somehow relate to the hedgehog idea holds no relevance. Now, let's be clear about something. Hedgehogs are not stupid. On the contrary, they understand that the essence of profound insight is simplicity. What could be more simple than E equals mc squared? What could be simpler than the idea of the unconscious, organized into an id, ego, and superego? What could be more elegant than Adam Smith's pin factory and invisible hand? No, the hedgehogs aren't simpletons. They have a piercing insight that allows them to see through complexity and discern underlying patterns. Hedgehogs see what is essential and ignore the rest. Now, in a few moments, we'll come back to this very same diagram. But before we move deeper into the hedgehog concept, I wanted us to take a look at it. The hedgehog concept is a simple, crystalline concept that flows from deep understanding about the intersection of these three circles. What can you be best in the world at? What drives your economic engine? And what are you deeply passionate about? We're going to take a look at all three of these circles individually. The first circle we'll take a look at is what can you be the best in the world at? And equally as important, what can you not be the best in the world at? This standard goes far beyond core competence. Just because you possess a core competence doesn't necessarily mean you can be the best in the world at it. Conversely, what you can be the best at might not be something in which you are currently engaged in doing. Circle number 2, what drives your economic engine? All the good to great companies attained piercing insight into how to most effectively generate sustained and robust cash flow and profitability. In particular, they discovered the single denominator, profit per X, that had the greatest impact on their economics. It would be cash flow per X in the social sector. Circle number 3, what are you deeply passionate about? The good to great companies focused on those activities that ignited their passion. The idea here is not to stimulate passion, but to discover what makes you passionate. Don't stimulate passion about something that you're not already passionate about, but discover what you already love. Here we are back at the 3 circles of the hedgehog diagram, and we really need to have a full understanding of this diagram before moving forward. To have a fully developed hedgehog concept, you need all 3 circles. Okay? If you make a lot of money doing things that you could never be the best at, you'll only build a successful company, not a great company. If you become the best at something, you'll never remain on top if you don't have intrinsic passion for what you're doing. Finally, you can be passionate all you want, but you can't be the best at it, or it doesn't make economic sense. Then you might have a lot of fun, but you won't produce great results. This approach will be the basis for the rest of the book. Let's try to get a better understanding of the hedgehog concept and the process of the hedgehog concept. It took about 4 years on average for the good to great companies to clarify their hedgehog concepts. Like Scientific Insight, a hedgehog concept simplifies a complex world and makes decisions much easier. But while it has crystalline clarity and elegant simplicity, once you have it, getting the concept can be devilishly difficult and takes time. Recognize that getting a hedgehog concept is a process, not an event. The essence of the process is to get the right people engaged in vigorous dialogue and debate, infused with the brutal facts and guided by questions formed by the 3 circles. Do we really understand what we can be the best in the world at, as distinct from what we can just be successful at? Do we really understand the drivers in our economic engine, including our economic denominator? Do we really understand what best ignites our passions? In the last slide, I alluded to getting the right people engaged in vigorous dialogue and debate. This brings us to the characteristics of the council. The council exists as a device to gain understanding about important issues facing the organization. The council is assembled and used by the leading executive and usually consists of 5 to 12 people. Each council member has the ability to argue and debate in search of understanding, not from the egotistic need to win a point or protect a parochial interest. Each council member retains the respect of every other council member without exception. Council members come from a range of perspectives, but each member has deep knowledge about some aspect of the organization and/or the environment in which it operates. The council includes key members of the management team, but is not limited to members of the management team, nor is every executive automatically a member. The council is a standing body, not an ad hoc committee assembled for a specific project. The council meets periodically, as much as once a week, or as infrequently as once per quarter. The council does not seek consensus, recognizing that consensus decisions are often at odds with intelligent decisions. The responsibility for the final decision remains with the leading executive. The council is an informal body, not listed on any formal organization chart or in any formal documents. The council can have a range of possible names, usually quite innocuous. In the good to great companies, they had benign names like Long Range Profit Improvement Committee, Corporate Products Committee, Strategic Thinking Group, and Executive Council. But whatever the name, we have to remember that these councils are engaged in vigorous dialogue and debate, infused with brutal facts, and guided by questions formed by the 3 circles that we've been talking about. So, the most important question for all of us is, what are the implications of Chapter 5, From Good to Great, for us as potential school leaders? Well, I thought of 5 things here. Number 1, we need to blend the hedgehog approach with our own leadership style. How great would it be if the teachers in our building, when we become school leaders, say of us that we have piercing insight that allows us to see through complexity and discern underlying patterns, right? That we see what is essential and we're able to overlook that which is unessential. In the hiring process, we need to use the hedgehog approach as well, and we need to hire those We need to hire teachers with a hedgehog approach to the classroom. We need to develop a council within our school. We need a group of teachers asking the tough questions, gaining a deep understanding of the issues facing the school, and willing to make tough decisions in the best interest of our students. This council doesn't need to be made up of just the other administrators in the building, but it needs to be made up of teacher leaders from different departments that are making a difference in the school. We need to keep those three essential questions in mind when making decisions, like instructional models for the school, teacher placement, different strategies. Remember those three questions. What are we deeply passionate about? What are we about as a school? What are we about as a faculty? What can we be the best in the world at? Or what can we be the best in the district at? Or what can we be the best in the state at? And what drives our economic engine? What is it that we want to get at the end of the school day? What's important to us? And lastly, we need to remember that this doesn't happen overnight. This is a long process, and we need to be consistent and dedicated to these principles. Thank you so much for giving me your attention and your time, and I hope that you all have a great school year.